of this channel because it's a whole bunch of random letters and numbers and crazy, wacky things happen in that URL that I can't even explain in human languages. Guys, we'll see because here we are on Coda. Over here in the top left-hand corner of Coda, the yellow Protoss player, the #1 Kazakhstani player, albeit, it is PiLiPiLi. Did I say red? Because I meant to say yellow. I don't know what I said. We'll see in the bottom right-hand corner. The green Protoss player from EC Visualize, it is JackO. Yeah, and it may have just been his opener, but in the last game he had 2 sentries. He had the tools he needed to at least defend his main base and get a small stalker count, but they were just sniped because he was paying attention to that Oracle. He's got to be really, really careful. He was telling me, you know what, Drennoc, even if I do move through this group, it's going to be scary because I may have to face Bly here. So we'll see how that really kind of all culminates together. Still only game 2 of a best-of-3 series, and all the other games tonight are still on the way. It is a 4-player group, so lots of game possibilities. As the lovely Hu Shang in chat mentioned, you know what, honestly, with this map pool, Iron Fortress isn't too wacky for map 1, and then Coda and Terraform really just, okay, we're cool with these 2 maps. Sometimes Bridgehead gets in there, every once in a while Dash and Terminal, but generally not in PvP. I've seen it once in PvP in Heart of the Swarm, in actual tournament settings, but that was just kind of an awkward, like, ooh, we don't want to play this, nor either do we want to play this. Let's just cheese the crap out of each other, because, you know, it works. Why not? PiLiPiLi a little bit nervous about some proxies, does check fully his natural and his third base, whether it be proxy gate or just a little pylon hanging about somewhere. He's being careful. I don't know how well he knows JackO, but maybe that's a little bit indicative of him just studying up, you know, how does JackO play, man? Or it could also be PiLiPiLi, you know what, I don't know this guy. Let's just play super safe, super standard. Gets an early scout in game 1, which did happen to see JackO's base first without JackO's scout, and now it looks like PiLiPiLi is going to get the first scout himself. Everything looking normal in Pilly's base, going 3 in one gas, 2 in the other, and I only comment on that because I always love with pro players, it's like, okay, if you're a pro player, we say, cool, you have something perfectly timed out. And then if you're like anything below pro, they're like, screw you, man, why do you have 3 and 2 in the other one? You must be messed up. We'll see, though, how PiLiPiLi wants to utilize that, gets off the full scout, and finally, JackO will scout himself. And it's nice for JackO here, at least in game 2, he will have a scout, unlike game 1, and maybe he should scout a little bit earlier. I think he had an idea about what was going to come out of PiLiPiLi, those Blink Stalker plays, because honestly, that is what PiLiPiLi does in PvP. We should have some inclination whether he wants to counter that with a Twilight opener, or sorry, just Blink opener, or maybe go like a 3-gate Robo, safe expansion, get some Immortals out and defend. He can do that. But he's really waiting to see what's going to go down, and he saw that kind of wacky position of PiLiPiLi's pylon in the top of his base, and that is something where, okay, you're going to throw tech there, you're going to throw tech somewhere, but it's just, now it's Twilight counts for Pili. Well, for JackO, again, it's Stargate. Now, I like the Stargate opener, but it's risky, especially on this map. Maybe on a 4-player map, you can get some damage done, you can pull back and defend, but that is at like the 10, that is farther on in the game when you have Phoenixes. You have more units in your composition, and it's not just I sent an Oracle over and then crap, didn't quite micro, need to defend at home, and then it just all went down from there. So we'll see if he can do that. Throw down more gates, just being very careful. Fully scouting, JackO will scout his third base, making sure there's no proxies by PiLiPiLi. Both these players know, you know what, Pili's good. He can throw a gateway just about wherever he wants and make it a Blink Stalker all in. Will be Phoenix first for JackO, which I love, and there's the Blink started for PiLiPiLi. A couple more gates added on, and he's just doing straight up 4-gate like he did last game, but I like it's going to be Phoenix. Now, I also enjoy the Oracle opener, but PiLiPiLi's so ready for it in game 1. He actually had 2 Stalkers and the Mothership Core, albeit the Mothership Core didn't have Photon Overcharge, but he was 100% prepared, so you might as well make a few Phoenixes, maybe a little bit later on in the game. Once you hit the 3 and 4 Phoenix count, you can start picking up probes, but in the meantime, if your opponent's pulling out Immortals, you can pick them up, whether it be Stalkers. Just nullifying small amounts of the army matters so much in PvP, even with committing a little bit into Stalkers, and now he's got to be really careful. Oh! Stalkers will get a couple volleys off, more Stalkers being morphed in by PiLiPiLi, and honestly, He didn't lose the Phoenix right there, but he could have. He can lose it so easy now that this 4 Stalkers blink is almost done. And oh, they got to be really careful. Rallied a little bit rallied a little bit incorrectly by JackO. JackO still not taking his natural base. This is a much safer opener, adding on some extra gates, adding on a Robo, and just playing a really darn safe game. No more Phoenixes off the back of these two, which I don't know if it's the wisest idea. He did see the army move out. At least he's got that, or at least knows there's a decent amount of Stalkers. But he's still got to be really careful. Blink is done now, and these Phoenixes better hightail it on out of there. They can't go through the main natural base of PiLiPiLi. There is the foot and overcharge. But now, I mean, PiLiPiLi is just... He's playing, as I said earlier, maybe just do a 3-gate safe Robo, and that's exactly what he's doing. Not quite as all-in as game 1, but nevertheless, still, it's an aggressive play, especially when your opponent opening up Phoenixes and they're on the other side of the map. Currently, there are 10 Stalkers for PiLiPiLi, while only 2 for JackO, but he does have an Immortal, he's got Sentries and Zealots, and it's going to come down to the micro. Sadly, PiLiPiLi, does he have an Observer around here? He does, but it's kind of halfway in the middle of the map. We'll be heading into that main base of JackO soon, but now the Phoenixes can do something, but really just not going to do too much. PiLiPiLi with the micro, with the multitasking, will be able to deal with these. Takes 3. Actually, will get 3 kills. JackO, that's nice for him, but back at home, man, he's got to be really careful. He can move down this ramp, but remember, PiLiPiLi is blink. He can blink right on top of that, he can block right on top of that Immortal if he wants to, but that will not be the case. One force field does go down for PiLiPiLi, which kind of holds back those Immortals on that ramp, and now they're just kind of awkwardly, they want to get down there, but honestly, there's enough Stalkers and a little bit of blink micro. PiLiPiLi is going to be okay. Kills 2 Stalkers, will pull one out of there, but JackO, I guess you gotta take your natural at this point. We see PiLiPiLi doing the same, but that's still a gutsy, risky thing to do. And now PiLiPiLi is gonna be able to blink up into the main. Still, Phoenix is kind of meandering around. I think they should actually pull back. Maybe they can pick up the Sentry, kill something here, or just straight up take the fire of the Stalkers a little bit. We'll see, though, now here is the fight going down. There is 2 Immortals and the Zealots. The Zealots will be able to kind of box out those Stalkers, but with Blink, I think there's enough Stalkers here, and the Warpins of PiLiPiLi are pretty darn good. For now, though, they will be pushed back, and I love those force fields. I don't know if my graphics changed, but they're now really nice looking. I think my graphics did change with 3.0, but we'll see. And with that 2 Immortal opening, I'm surprised that even though there's so many for JackO, I'm still surprised that PiLiPiLi hasn't kind of dived forward because there's not that many Stalkers. Still, though, he's got to be super careful about not overcommitting. And there's the dive. There is 2 Sentries, but I don't think there's any force fields on either of them. No, there is not force fields. Desperately more Zealots are trying to be warped in by JackO, but it's not quite looking enough. There's just so many Zealots here for PiLiPiLi. It's going a little bit back and forth. The natural base of JackO is still not done yet, so there's no photon overcharges, nothing like that. And actually, JackO will push this back. PiLiPiLi committed a decent amount to that, and honestly didn't get that much damage done. And both players kind of, they swung at each other, but didn't quite fully go with the commit, whether it be with the Phoenixes or with that Blink Stalker play by PiLiPiLi. And now they've both kind of timed each other out into the mid game, into the natural bases, which is really nice that, honestly, neither of them are that much ahead. JackO is ahead by about 7 workers here. He got 4 or 5 kills early on. That is a total of 7, actually, which is beautiful with his Phoenixes. And I like that play, because at first I was saying, you know what? I don't know how I feel about this. And oh, if only. Oh, wait, is that? Yeah, actually, JackO can kill PiLiPiLi's Observer. But I really liked what JackO was doing if he maybe got up to 3. Yet he did need to push out that second Immortal to be able to make a full defense at home. He can't quite rely off 1 when there's Blink Stalkers. So it was a nice move by him, kind of delaying that third one, not even making it ever. And he actually got a decent amount of kills out of them. One does have 3 kills, the other Phoenix is 3, so yeah, 6. 6 in all. JackO, though, with this relatively safe expand, is now really just kind of equalized it out, and he's survived past that early game where PiLiPiLi is incredibly scary, but nevertheless, PiLiPiLi's PvP is really good. 1 Phoenix will go down in the main of PiLiPiLi, and now there's only 1 more left, but still there's nice scouting into the main. You always have a little bit of map vision that you can gain with the Phoenixes. Still, PiLiPiLi's ready for more aggression. As you just saw, he's got a pull on the right-hand side. He put down much earlier before his even first attack. And as I was saying, even though JackO defended that was the really worrisome part. He's still going to be fine. And now PiLiPiLi, as that lovely ping does show, is going double Stargate. Interesting decision. I feel like this is one of 2 things. This is really clever. He scouts his opponent, maybe thinks that he's going to keep going Phoenixes, whatever, and wants to keep up in that count. Or it's the screw you, I'm going to go mass Void Rays. You can't really do a ton about it, even with amazing micro. We'll see. 1 Phoenix does go down, and that was the real Phoenix of JackO, so there's only going to be the hallucinated... Actually, wait. Was that? I don't know. That was something. Something was hallucinated right there and killed. There's only one Phoenix right now for JackO, and we'll see what PiLiPiLi goes into it. There's the Void Ray. It is the screw you. I'm gonna go mass Void Ray build, but now that is a lot of gas. I believe it's 250 gas per Void Ray. Yes, sorry, 150 gas, 250 minerals, but nevertheless, 500 minerals, 300 gas. That's a lot of commitment right when JackO is moving out with his own Phoenixes. With that one alive Phoenix, he does get some nice scouts and is gonna now try to push in. 43 army supply of JackO to the 36 of PiLiPiLi, and that's really kind of scary. The Void Rays will come in, but nevertheless, 5 Immortals do a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. Maybe PiLiPiLi got a little bit too aggressive early on and a little overconfident, but we'll see how this plays out. There is the Mothership Core with the main force, and he can teleport back home if he needs to. For now, PiLiPiLi will be going for that scout at the bottom, but I mean, it's not what he needs to worry about, and honestly, I think this is just a cool tech. It's a cool tech transition. It's not I scout this, I'm going to do this, but maybe he'll be able to do it because there's only 5 Stalkers. Not that many Stalkers. Yes, there's a Phoenix, but we'll see how this battle goes down. JackO a little bit hesitant about moving up that ramp. PiLiPiLi does currently have 5 sentries, which can force field off that entire ramp if he wants to. And still, though, it's kind of going back and forth. PiLiPiLi doesn't blink. He could maybe move in to kill the Mothership Core, jump back, because he does have a nice force off the back of this. He's not only relying off blink Stalkers, so if he does lose it, maybe that's okay. Both players pretty darn even on economy, and right now this is maybe a beautiful chance for JackO to take his 3rd base, but that would mean he'd not be able to be quite as aggressive or hold this that long. We'll see what he really kind of culminates to in his composition. Void Rays are pretty darn scary, but I mean, with 5 Immortals, a Colossus coming in, Robotech with the ground army in PvP with more Colossus, you're going to be great, but that's generally kind of more on maxed out armies. We'll see what goes down because JackO is moving in. 67 armies split at 69, pretty darn even. 2 time warps do go down by JackO, trying to just hold that army there for a little while longer. Won't quite be enough. Hallucinated Void Rays are with the main force, and Stalkers are trying to focus them down. There's just so many Void Rays currently. Colossus goes down, and still there's a lot of rope. There's a lot of Immortals, and a decent amount of the ground units go down, but really PiLiPiLi survives beautifully because JackO is focusing all those Stalker fire on the Void Rays and did not want to lose that battle and just lose his Immortals past that because he didn't kill the Void Rays, but now he's going to kind of push it back. Another big Stalker warp in, but the Mothership Core has been killed, and there's no TP home. He's got to be very, very careful about this. Still, the Stalkers are doing good, but with those Zealots in, they're going to kind of buffer out them, and now the Immortals are starting to lose how good they were because there's just no ground army. PiLiPiLi completely going into Void Rays. He's currently at 3 Stargates, and now still JackO, he's done damage, but he's killed the ground army, and just the Void Ray count is just skyrocketing. 6 Void Rays currently out, 3 more on the way that'll put PiLiPiLi at 9, and he's just kind of crushing this fight. Still going back and forth, though. JackO doing really well with his Stalkers. These are +1 Stalkers. They do a decent amount. With that first fight, I liked it. How JackO went in there, but now he's kind of lost his edge here. He's lost his Colossus. He's lost his Immortals, but there's a blink forward actually by JackO. He does not blink now. Well, I think he killed a couple. I'm not sure how many he killed. There's 6 currently out. More kind of, more coming back at home. Don't even know what I'm saying right there. But as I was mentioning, the one issue with if your Stalkers fall, which is what JackO was really trying to be careful about, but actually screwed him there, is once your Stalkers fall, the Immortals, they can go down, and that's all the gas, all the minerals JackO put into his force. Now PiLiPiLi is going to push out across the map. We see Archons being morphed in for JackO, desperately trying to get some AoE to stop the Void Rays if they clump up, but nevertheless with that, it's still, as I was mentioning, there's a lot of commitment, those Immortals, and he tried to counter the Void Rays, but he blinked in, went for the Void Rays, and then didn't really focus down the main army below it, and the micro just kind of failed for him. We'll see, though, because it did take the 3rd base, yet that was after he lost a lot. Expend when your attack works, but you need to get damage done. Archons will be good versus these Zealots. The Zealots, remind you, don't have charge. You're going to have a little bit of an issue actually engaging, but they will push back the main army of JackO for a little while here, but still, there's so many Void Rays. As I was saying before this even started, this is the screw you, I'm going Void Ray right now. And we'll see how this pans out. Currently out on the map, there are 11 Void Rays. Very even are workers, and desperately, JackO needs an amazing position with these Archons. Whatever, the Void Rays are starting to clump up. They can't get a decent amount of damage done, but the Archons are actually being focused down, allowing the Blink Stalkers to focus more of these Void Rays, but still, there's not quite enough here. JackO desperately pushing it down, but just loses almost everything in the end. Still, there's a decent amount of gates here for JackO. 8 in all to the only 3 of PiLiPiLi. He can still warp in, but he just doesn't have the bank, and there's the GG. PiLiPiLi goes 2-0. And I guess moves on to the winners match right there. Beautiful game by PiLiPiLi and a really strange series, as the chat was saying. Iron Fortress. The only reason I'm like trying to figure out Iron Fortress, yeah, as Hu Shang says, better than Moonlight, is like, you know what? I trust Hu Shang's PvP knowledge, whatever knowledge, and Yeah, that's kind of a weird map, but game two, JackO, he wasn't quite greedy early on and actually took a small lead because PiLiPiLi got overconfident, allowing JackO with his build to kind of push off the first Blink Stalker attacks. But in the end, as I was saying, man, Void Rays are just hard to counter. Even if you have lots of Stalkers, it's still an issue and comes down to the micro of you need to